Christianity is the limitations they place on God that don't seem logical to me.
Like what?
The easiest explanation is I forgot what's the name of the paradox. Can God create a stone so heavy that he cannot lift it?
Yeah.
What is it? Omniscience paradox or something? Or
Yeah. Well, the answer is no.
the answer is yes.
Can God create a rock so big that he can't lift it?
Indeed.
No.
Yes.
Wait, what?
This is why I don't follow Christianity, because God has no limitations. The concept of contradiction is a subset of God, not greater than. The idea that God is restricted by the rules he's created makes no sense to me.
It's that's a logical fallacy. God can't create a rock so big that he
God
can't
creates
lift it.
logic.
Yeah. Well,
God is not confined by what
God is logic.
and that's the Christian belief, but that limits God's to a set of rules.
No, it doesn't limit. No, God is the rule. God is not God because he somehow maintains a standard outside of him. He is the standard. So it's not as though there's love, some abstract entity, and God is loving because he models love.
My name's Elijah Schaffer. Welcome back to The Rift. We are live Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We've had some issues as I've been on the run. You might notice I'm wearing sunglasses. Honestly, it's because I have a sty in my eye and I look like I have cancer or something, and I don't. But welcome back to the show. Joining me today, all the way from Florida in the Boca Raton studios, Amy Dangerfield. Welcome back.
Hello. Hi, great to be here.
All right, so we got to talk about this. So there's some crazy stuff going on. Everybody knows I'm under a $5 million FBI proxy lawsuit, which everybody in the world seems to think that they're a victim of, except for the person literally they're trying to bankrupt and who actually had to leave his home and has genuinely been harassed, threatened, etc. We've gone to a stage now where we've exposed, and we're going to expose today, that essentially, this entire lawsuit has nothing to do with Alexis Wilkins being offended. This is actually a suggestion, allegedly, from Kash Patel and an attempt by coordinated efforts, including the Babylon Bee, the Department of Homeland Security, and the general Zionist movement to shut down this show and to shut down Rift TV in general. And Amy, you came out with a new video today. You're now...
Not quite yet. Not quite. It's
not yet. You have a new video?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't launch it yet, as per our discussion earlier.
No, I'm just saying, but you have a new video coming out. Sorry, I should say.
Yes,
and so people should keep an eye out for that.
100%. We give you guys a full breakdown from a legal perspective, but also just like my commentary on the larger issue at hand that I'm seeing right now, which is basically, this is stuff that we used to see oftentimes from the left, crushing dissent, trying to control speech and using legal intimidation and lawfare. But now the call is coming from inside of the house, and it's deeply uncomfortable. It's MAGA versus MAGA, America first versus America first. We're in some very unprecedented times. So very excited for this video. We will be dropping that tomorrow. So everybody can check that out on my channel.
Sweet. And if you're watching this on Saturday, then it's already out. So that's a lot of you guys are watching this after there. Okay, so Amy, let's talk about this. So this thing got launched, okay? Joel Berry, who's the comedy guy, has put out a statement, and this kind of encapsulates what's going on here. And we got to explain it to you. He said, "No enemies to the right is officially dead." And this is an extremely important concept, because what happens is a lot of times these people explain to us publicly that they are essentially doing what we already knew they were doing, but they admit it themselves. He's saying that the war has been for years about destroying the left. Now, you guys might remember, most importantly, I brought up when Netanyahu said we're going to be hitting the 8th front war. He said we're going to be going after the influencers. We're going to be going after the neo-Nazis. We're going to be going after the white nationalists. He said he was going to war with us. And I took it as a threat, and I came out publicly and I said, game on. I go, he wants us killed. He actually wants us to die. He joked about using drones. He joked about killing us. But until then, he said he wanted to silence us. Everyone said I was stupid, but now only the Zionists, only the people that are pro-Israel have come together and have said, our new objective, our new enemy are going to be anybody and everybody who doesn't agree with Israel. And people are noticing. That is the only thing. I want to remind you, Daily Wire stopped having people like me on their shows, but yet they had Destiny. Destiny has talked about sucking the semen out of another man's butthole who then cucked his girlfriend. And he was allowed to discuss with Jordan Peterson. He was allowed on because why? Because he's a Zionist. But myself, who would never do something like that, who doesn't stand up for those things, a married man of 2 children, is not allowed on the show because I don't support them. And so when we see this new movement here, we're going to break this down. We have realized, guys, we have exposed the DHS, the FBI, every single factor of these people have one thing in common, Amy, and we all know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We certainly do. There's for sure new battle lines that are being drawn right now. It's like establishment versus anti-establishment. And I think that there are very clear lines being drawn in the sand. People are picking their side. And, I've never been a proponent of being a single issue voter. But and honestly, it's bigger than just that one thing. I just want all of the money out. I just want all of the money and all of the covert control and influence out of politics, because that is the only way to be truly American first. And yes, there are other countries and nation states that, have caused us some issues in that regard. But there seems to be this consistent thorn in everybody's heel. It just keeps showing up again and again and again. We all know what that issue is. And I think that this is, like I said earlier, it's like MAGA versus MAGA, America first versus America first. I think that we're now reaching the point where on the right, like I would rather work with people like Anna Kasparian, for example. I would rather work with people who are quote unquote progressive, who are very firm on this issue, who actually believe in the values of America first versus these establishment Republicans or the people who are, have clout in Trump's inner circle. I don't see very much value in aligning with those people anymore because they're not really America first. It's all optics. It's all lip service.
Well, let's get into this. So I want to break this down, guys. So if you guys don't know, if you're new to the show and you're unaware of this, there is a $5 million lawsuit that originally everybody said was going to just essentially be a civil lawsuit. I said, why are you freaking out about this? Right? Why are you afraid of this? If you don't remember here, this is just bringing it up right here from CBS. But there is FBI Director Sue's podcast. I guess it's not letting us zoom in. There you go. FBI Director Sue's podcaster for $5 million over outrageous honeypot spy claims. This is Kyle Seraphin, myself, and Sam Parker been sued, except the problem is, if you've been watching this, I never called her a honeypot. And we're not going to defend that right now. If you read the lawsuit, it actually says, though I did not call her a honeypot, I do criticize Israel, Netanyahu, and the Israeli government. There's pages and pages in the lawsuit. Therefore, because I'm against Israel, I'm a bad person, and anything I post can assume to be with malintent. And the problem with this was, while it did start as a civil lawsuit, Alexis Wilkins is now insinuating that my post has put her life in danger, which is a criminal accusation. She has insinuated publicly, and with her own words, it's not a picture. She has said basically, like, the post that I made, she wrote publicly, is actually putting my life in danger. This is extremely serious because now that's criminal accusations, and that has required her to get an unprecedented amount of alleged, I keep saying alleged, my lawyer keeps saying alleged taxpayer-funded security. Now, one of those things that we need to talk about is the fact, where is this? That she essentially has come out, check this out, we're going to get into this. She's come out and said that, my life is in danger. Right here, here's the things. And we condemned this, right? We have condemned this action. She posted these things, my morning DMs, these things, if you get the cancer today, you should pray to Christ and end your life, right? Horrible. We condemn it. People saying you need to touch a bullet. Now, I want to remind you, I've also been getting the same things, except people have been actually posting my address, posting where to find my family, talking about raping my wife, killing my kids. It's been very severe, and it all stems from her lawsuit. Now, as we were leaving, if you guys watch my recent Slightly Offensive video, we talk about the fact, if you go up here, which she retweeted, by the way, she's subtweeting me on her Twitter. This is so insane. I had written here, ready for this up here, I had posted that the DHS separated me from my operations manager, Snowflake News, and has guided him to a different area for further security review. To all those claiming this is normal, someone in law enforcement said his biometric screening had been denied for re-entry. Now, this comes on the hail of the fact that as we were leaving the El Salvador, you guys can watch the clip. Again, go to the Slightly Offensive YouTube. We can drop it in the chat there, but I explained the whole story with Henny. I don't need to give you the long story, but Quad S, which is designated as an additional security screening or threat, was what was given to individuals after January 6th, individuals like myself, individuals like Michael Hennessy, to many, many other Americans who were deemed, security threats. They were able to get a air marshal to travel with them. When we arrived at the airport, not only did we have 3 screenings at the El Salvador airport, the first, the second, and then a third, he was pushed behind a barrier. They made him, take his shoes off, tickle his feet and everything. That was just the beginning. And then they told us, hey, you're probably going to be detained at the border when you try to re-enter. Now, when we re-entered, I shared that video here. It was really interesting because that video clip, if you see this, is actually video proof. That's him not able to walk through me. I just walked through. He was denied and had to leave and go through a separate line to go through another screening. So this would be the 5th screening that he technically was going to be going through after being denied through biometrics. Now, the reason why we got to talk about this is we want to explain how we've been exposing the DHS, how we've been exposing these lies, and why I know that this is an attack on our sovereignty as a network. So I retweeted this. I said, I will not stop calling out Israel for its occupation of the United States. No intimidation, no DHS threat, no lawfare, no fake victimization from the plaintiff to flip their bad PR back on me, no FBI overreach. They can bankrupt me, they can jail me, but they won't shut me up. Now, this, of course, does very well. Now, she retweets this, which, again, Dylan, if you can resend this to our legal team here, this is like really damning stuff, because this is all part of the nefarious accusations where she's trying to, damage my reputation and stuff. Alexis, you got to get better lawyers. You got to stop using your boyfriend's lawyers. You got to get lawyers that care about you. This is why I don't believe they care about her. I think she might be a victim, actually, of her own boyfriend who might be using her for political, advantage here. I'm being completely serious. Indians are known to be very dishonest and deceptive. It's a very Indian cultural trait. And, they also are known for blocking aisles in Costco's, but that's a whole different issue. But Tricia McLaughlin, who is the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, by the way, I just remind you, these are the people keeping your country safe. You have a 28-year-old woman tasked with protecting your borders. And I'm not just trying to be sexist here, but I'm going to be straight up. A country's backwards when you have a girl in her 20s, I'm going to protect them borders. That's not what we need.
Yeah. Do you remember when Christine Nome was cosplaying as a border ICE agent and was taking all of those it's are you the one who's actually you're standing out there in the front lines, stopping and apprehending people? Okay. Yeah. No, these people like to cosplay a lot.
Well, absolutely. Well, absolutely, to the highest degree. And of course, we're gonna have a bit of a smaller audience tonight because our team's been unable to get shows up. There's no excuse. They just have been unable to do so, and it's very, very frustrating. However, she retweets this because the DHS secretary, let's start here with the lie. She says, no one from DHS Gov threatened you. Your producer's boarding pass included a random selection for extra screening, just like thousands of other Americans daily. There was no secondary screening and absolutely no arrest. So, first of all, we never said there was arrest. No one once used the phrase that we were going to be arrested. There was something that said that there was going to be a possible detainment. We were detained twice, not in handcuffs. So there was detainment. We were brought aside. He was detained in El Salvador and brought aside to a separate security screening. Obviously detainment means he was not in handcuffs. He just wasn't allowed to leave. He was, put under a place to where he was no longer allowed to leave. That's a detainment. Then he was taken aside for secondary screening in the U.S., which was now our 5th screening. And she lies and says there was no secondary screening. So you have the Department of Homeland Security direct representative lying here. And so you got to go, well, this is just a civil lawsuit. Why is the Department of Homeland Security, Amy? Why is the actual official verified account of the Department of Homeland Security weighing in if this is just a private citizen that just so happens to be dating the most powerful executive enforcement officer in the country, the FBI director? She just happens to be dating him. He's not connected, but now, as we'll find out, she's getting government security. He's requesting that government security, allegedly. It's being paid for by us, the taxpayers, allegedly. And she now has directors of my border patrol, my border enforcement, saying that we're liars. When I commented this, my operations manager being denied entry and escorted to a secondary screening. It's like, here he is under your post being escorted away. And instead of like denying it, everyone's like, oh, he's not being taken. He's walking. It's like, I didn't say they grabbed him and threw him on the ground. It's what it is this is a denial of what you see, guys. And this is very serious. You are watching him go away and everyone's like, what does that prove? It proves he didn't get through with me. I'm on the other side of the yellow line. I've gotten through security. I am past customs and he's not allowed to come with me and he's going away to a secondary place. And then she goes online and says, oh, hey, by the way, you're lying. And then it's like, okay, that's one thing. And you go, well, what? Like maybe it's unrelated to the case. And then Alexis retweets it. So Alexis is coordinating with the Department of Homeland Security to lie about us, and which I would say is defamatory slander. It's our network. She's saying that we post dishonest things. And it's like, okay, this is really fishy. You guys are going to see it get fishier and fishier, this takedown. But it's like, I don't know what you make of that, Amy, but
they're doing like everything they can to corral public opinion, but it's just weird because like, how do they not foresee these things backfiring? Like, that's genuinely what I do not understand. Like, optics wise, listen, everything that I'm talking about here, I don't know Kash Patel. I don't know her. I don't know their true intentions of what is happening. All I can do is draw conclusions based on the optics of everything. And it appears to me and everybody else who has two eyes, who's looking at this, it just seems like a cancellation campaign and an initiative to be able to corral public opinion. And I mean, it's the same thing with her posting about like the death threats that she's getting and all of these things, to which you posted and you disavowed that. And I don't think that anybody in our audience would be doing that anyways, right? But for you to put out that post and to say like, hey, guys, we disavow this behavior. I do not condone violence in any way, shape, or form. And by that same token, you're also getting those same death threats onto you. Your family can't even come back to their home here in Florida, in Boca Raton. You literally have to be interstate now, run this entire operation interstate. Like, your life is being impacted by it too, not just from a financial perspective, but also like the safety, your family. I've yet to see her or anybody from her circle disavow that behavior. So I don't know. Do you think that like posting all of that, she's trying to lay the foundation and corral public opinion and legal opinion to the point where they actually can bring criminal charges again?
That is what she's doing, because I want to show you what she said. I wonder if she deleted it, because we did get it in our comments here. Not only that, but she actually went out and defamed people today, which is kind of crazy. So if you go down here to her comments, look at this. So she wrote this. Share this tab instead here. She said, critical is totally fine. This is in regards to the situation with Candace. Disparagement to the point of affecting my work life and safety just for people to get clicks. So now she's talking about the fact, she's talking about the posts. She's talking about my post here. And if you say, why are you assuming, Elijah? Well, this entire lawsuit's about assumptions. She's saying that my post retweeting a picture of her own image is threatening her safety. She's like, I'm just trying to do my job. She's just trying to sing the Star Spangled Banner at a amateur wrestling match. Okay.
TP
And she's just trying
event, yeah.
I'm just trying to live my life. Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Meghan Markle and her, remember like the South Park made fun of them where they're going, oh my gosh, please give me privacy. Give me privacy. And they're like filing lawsuits and doing press releases about security and like retweeting the Department of Homeland Security. And like, you're trying to live your life. No, you're trying to destroy me, which is weird, by the way. They only went after people who were anti-Israel. And it seems like she's only retweeting people who are pro-Israel, and she only gets defensive and only attacks people who are anti-Israel. She's only attacking people who are against Israel. That's it. So her whole page is dedicated to being against Israel. She works with PragerU, whose director is a Mossad spy. That's true. I mean, IDF spy.
It's like the cyber division, like 8600 or so. I probably got that number wrong. It's like some elite cyber division of the IDF. Yeah,
right.
I mean that part is true and uncontested, but like the extrapolation that she therefore is a spy herself, like we can't necessarily say that. But what's crazy is like about defamation suit. I know, we never did. What she's trying to sue you for is like the relatively rare doctrine of defamation by implication, which is to sue for the meaning that other people may have simply inferred from looking at your uncaptioned post that was literally entirely silent. You didn't even use any words in the actual post itself. So like Viva Fry has astutely observed, the post itself defies words because no words were actually used. But it's just funny to me because, again, I don't understand the strategy when it comes to optics because as Anna Kasparian observed when she actually covered this, I'm not sure if you saw her coverage of it, but defamation lawsuits always backfire. They always, or nearly always backfire. Like not that many people were aware of or really talking about Alexis Wilkins. Like maybe some people in our circle, but do you think her putting out this lawsuit against yourself, Sam and Kyle, and making this massive scene, now possibly pursuing criminal charges, do you think that people are now talking about her more or less? I probably think that they're talking about her more. Following the fact. So it's like, it's just so like funny to me that like these things always seem to backfire. They always seem to backfire. So I really like, the goal doesn't make sense. If the goal is because she just wants to live her life, she just wants to clear her name as somebody who is an influencer in the entertainment industry, you should know that all it's going to cause people to do is take a closer look at these claims that she is trying to refute in the first place.
Well, yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But yes, but also with this idea here is she's also saying that we're trying to get her killed. That's what she's saying, which then has caused her, if people don't know this, she's now been given an unprecedented amount of security, right? So like it's kind of crazy because this has never happened. And
no, it hasn't.
Like basically, I have death threats, and I tell people this. Who am I supposed to go to? Because, I'm the one who has to leave my house. She doesn't have to leave her house. She doesn't have kids. Let's not talk about the fact that she showed that her account is based in the United States, and it shows that it was created in 2009, which means she was 11 years old. So definitely not weird there. Okay, I'm saying that's totally normal. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm saying that's normal. I think the age for Twitter was about 13 to legally use it. I'm pretty sure. So she was just really big on politics and political slander. With just keeping up on Ted Koppel's Nightline on ABC when she was 11 years old. She works for a person who was an IDF worked for a spy agency. 8200. But she's not. And I never implied she was, because obviously who doesn't work for people that were spies for the IDF? We've all been there. It's like a Friday night and you're like, shots. And like, you're like taking a shot and you're like, everybody take a shot in the room that has worked for an IDF spy. And everyone's like, douche, douche, douche. And like, we'll kill a handle in a night. Not my crew will kill a handle because we've all been working for spies, man. I can't even name the spies. There's so many spies that I've been working for. However, Yeah, and it's like this is the best part about it. And then they ask me, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. Well, who funds you? Who funds you? It's like, who funds you guys? I've been to PragerU galas where they raised $18 million of anonymous money in one night at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Where'd you get that money? Who's that funding you? Of all people, PragerU, who pays for their views. I want to remind you something kind of crazy. You know this? So they used to pay. They've always paid for their views. And it's literally an insane thing. But they also just unfollowed me. They didn't even realize that they followed me. But it's like, they have their shows. Look at this. They say you don't get any views. Let's embarrass them for a moment here. We don't get any views. Okay, fine. We have 16,000 subscribers. They have 3.45 million. Talk about paying for views here. Well, you see how bad their views are on their channel?
I mean, well, they have
show.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have
7,000.
They have that guy on the.
No, but look at that. 4.7 thousand. Even his viral clips get 13,000 views, 3.3K, 3.4K. Who's funding this? Where are all these subscribers? Well, they were bought and paid for, right? They're not real, and they don't get views unless they pay for them. You go down here. Where's the Straight Show? Who's this? 3.6 thousand. This other show they have of theirs. So when you look at the views on their channel, they're all like, obviously they're not getting as much money as they used to get, or something happened, but they're getting like 5, 6, 7,000 views going. And who funds you? It's like, yo, who funds you?
It's not the content, evidently. Like, clearly your content cannot fund your studio operation. But yeah, it's interesting. I actually did a little bit of a case study into PragerU and even Daily Wire. A lot of these very corporate, very large organizations, they were actually genuinely really successful at one point. Like, they did amass a decent sized audience. They had loyal subscribers who were bought into the mission and the vision. But what I've found from my research, at least, is whenever these companies try to go extremely corporate and they start growing and expanding and bringing in human resources and more formalities, those things can be really, really good sometimes, but they can also stifle the voices and the creativity of the creators on that platform. And from what this is kind of just like a random observation and anecdote or what have you. But I noticed that, right now in the media landscape, people are so hungry and thirsty for just genuine, authentic voices who, they don't have sponsors that they need to adhere to. They don't have like a party line or they need to, they don't need to walk on eggshells. They don't need to like say something without saying something. They're just telling you exactly what they think. Those are the creators that I watch. Those are the creators that I'm tuning into on a daily basis, right? And I think the biggest test case of that is someone like Nick Fuentes, who literally was completely banned on every single platform ever, and yet still managed to amass a massive following. Because if you speak from the heart, if you are true to yourself and true to the message, then the right people will find you. The right people will resonate. And I don't see that happening with companies like PragerU, with companies like the Daily Wire anymore. It's almost become a meme. Like a Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, like, what are they going to quit? What are they going to quit? Oh, they look at his face right now as they're talking about Christians. They can't say what they really think. But on that note, it's no surprise then that authentic voices such as yourself, such as Rift TV, who aren't beholden to anybody, who are going to tell people exactly what we really think. No surprise that, we allegedly, I'm again protecting myself with the legal speak, then come under attack for that reason. At least optics wise, that is exactly what it looks like. And I don't think that there are very many people that can deny that.
Well, yeah, look at this. So then the attacks come, right? So she says that she has to get security. This is where it's escalated. So I've had to leave my house. I can't go to the FBI for help because she's connected to the FBI. She's coordinating with the Department of Homeland Security. Man, I gotta send that to my counsel. That's crazy. I didn't realize she retweeted that. That's actually figuring that out right here. Like, she's coordinating with government agencies. That's what we can assume from that. And that's really dangerous, Alexis. That genuinely that literally is a direct threat upon my ability to travel and move freely in the country. That's very scary. And the fact that you're involved in that is even just publicly, PR wise, makes you dangerous to my family. You've become a danger to us through your coordination. And it's not, people say explain these things. Oh, someone in the chat, you're a crybaby and stuff. Guys, I've been under FBI harassment for 4 years. Okay. Do you know what happens? They had a no-knock warrant for my house. You know what happens? I had a top federal ex-prosecutor who was my top defense attorney from January 6th, who, like, when I had to go to a safe house. I've got to do this multiple times. You go to a safe house because they were going to break down my door. And we've had to voluntarily decide to cooperate, not through giving up information, but to prevent them from raiding my house. They found out where I was. They used the Patriot Act, which we FOIA'd and got the background for. And ironically, Tucker was supposed to have me on a show the week he got fired from Fox to discuss this. But they FOIA requested the back door. They ended up getting all my bank records, my signal chats, everything. They were calling, like, even my dad talks about, like, how that was a horrible time. They'd call, like, the ex-secretary I've always talked about from a church I went to 5 years ago to ask her if she knew anything. They were threatening my neighbors, saying that they were going to make them complicit in terrorism. My neighbor almost killed an FBI agent. They wouldn't show their badges. They followed me in an SUV like they do in movies. They would camp outside my hotel, follow me around, and they would endlessly say, you're going to go to jail. He needs to turn himself in. We would have 3 days. He needs to confess what he did. And they would just, it cost $250,000. I already had to pay. We were already at $250,000 in fees over this. Not to mention they raided our operations manager. They raided him. He had what? He said he had about a dozen FBI agents point guns at him, take him to jail, over the same thing. And they barely just returned his devices. So we just had our cases pardoned this year. We just had our cases dropped this year. So we just had the FBI come off our cases threatening us. Guys, when I came back, when I left the U.S. for safety, I was gone from the U.S. for 2 years because my lawyer said it was better to be out of the country because they didn't know if they were going to raid my house. So people are like, well, why are you like this? Like what? It's like James O'Keefe, who I have a studio next to. He just got raided by the FBI over a diary that was found down the street from my house. Hunter Biden's daughter's diary or whatever. Or niece. I don't remember what it was. But the point is like, this is not a joke. Donald Trump was a sitting president. They pointed guns at Melania. Things escalate to a point to where this is very serious. And you go, well, it's just a civil lawsuit. Obviously, it's not. I think it's safe to say, Amy, that's not. And here's what's happening. So then I've already mentioned this. This is actually really funny, too. Somebody made this picture. I kind of thought it was funny. People are really confused on what's going on. Elijah Schaffer, red flags. Claims his family is being threatened, yet quietly slips off to El Salvador. Guys, I'm not in El Salvador. We're going to talk about this work thing. I work in El Salvador all the time. If you watch this channel, I don't know. I also don't understand what the controversy is about working in El Salvador, considering the fact that I worked in South Korea, Taiwan, China, and Mexico. Like, there's nothing weird about working in foreign countries, but they're trying to gaslight us into saying we're doing what they're doing. It says, tags the president of El Salvador and posts as if they are close friends. So you're close friends with people you tag. So if I tag CNN, we're close friends, They're like, look at all these assumptions. Wears an Eastern Orthodox cross despite having no connection to the faith. Yes, I'm converting to Orthodox Christianity. I literally am mentored by Orthodox priests.
You guys, there's literally, like, look, I'm in Elijah's office right now. Look at what my my laptop is being held up by. It's literally the Orthodox Bible. There's like 3 other ones on here too. I'm not going to grab them all, but that's funny.
The only thing I hate more than the sin in my life is the incompetence of studio staff right now. But we'll talk about that. But yeah, but it's like that. Regularly provokes provocative half-naked pictures of himself. It's like I'm on a fitness journey. Dude, people got so mad about this. Let me bring this up. People got so mad. And I realized that I guess people just don't understand that you can be into multiple things at the same time, I
guess.
So I posted this. And I hit my goals. Everybody knows I've been on a health journey. I've been trained by Mark Lobliner. I don't know if people know this. I run a pharmaceutical company. I just started a peptide company. I have health bars coming out. And I knew I needed to get fit before I could sell health products so I could show people these are the health products I use to get fit. And there's just a distortion in the mirror. So I'm clenching like this, I'm like this. I have shorts on in the picture. And then you get these just weird, let me see if I can get down here. You get these weird people that are like, God is upset at this. It's like, you know, it's like half naked pictures. Guys, I'm sorry. When did it become scandalous for a guy to have his shirt off and
Right.
for in the also in the context of a health update? Like it's in the context of like the post literally says, "Hey, I reached my body weight. I've tried to be working on this. Here's what I did and how I reached this." It's not like I'm like, "Hey, everyone," and everyone's like, "You're grabbing your junk," and you're like, "No." First of all, you know I'm not grabbing my junk because my hand's like this, but it would just have to be like this if I was grabbing it. It would be a little pinch, you know? So it's like, I go, why are you all talking about my private parts? Like, what is up with this? What is up with this? Also, you guys complain that I talk about the Jews all the time, that I tell you something positive, I lost weight and I got fit, and then all of a sudden it's like, you're not allowed to do that. I feel like people just want to be mad online. And that's my point. It's like, no matter what I do, it's like, I tell people I got healthy and it's like, he's putting up half naked pictures of himself, like pornography. And you're like, dude, let's stop the feminist bullshit that shirtless pictures of guys is the same thing as shirtless pictures of girls.
I was gonna, I mean, obviously I cannot post a picture like that, but it's a very, very different thing. And like you said, it's the point is that it was in the context of like you're achieving your goals. It was a health related post. It's not like you're posting like random thirst traps or anything like that. So yeah, these people, they're literally so weak. Their arguments are so weak that they will be grasping at straws. They will be grasping for absolutely everything, which is exactly what we've seen so far. And you know, even with everything that they have with the like relatively lesser burden of proof for civil litigation, which is the balance of probabilities, they still have nothing. Like even legal experts and scholars who even like sympathize with Alexis's position, they see this case as, you know, fragile, very fragile. And honestly, it's just not a good look for a community that and a movement that basically staked one of its core principles as being free speech, as being America first. But then to, you know, try to utilize this potentially, like we were discussing, at least from what we can see here, allegedly, to use this as some type of like validation for seeking any type of criminal charges, I just don't see how that stands up. Like even on the balance of probability, which is like, okay, 51%, like just over 50%, did he do this thing? Okay, it's a little bit easier to achieve. Still very unlikely in this scenario in the relatively rare doctrine of defamation by implication, but beyond a reasonable doubt to go after you for any criminal charges, that means that like 100%, if there is that 1% of doubt in somebody's mind, she's not going to win this thing. And she should know that from the offset. And the fact that they are utilizing, you know, government resources, possibly taking, you know, Secret Service off people that may need it to be able to protect Alexis Wilkins. Like, this is just such a gross misappropriation of resources for what? For what? For a lawsuit that she has absolutely no hope of winning?
But we know, but I'm saying, but like, look at this real fast. We have the proof. So I want to go through this because it says here, look, it says this, you know, claims that Barry Weiss personally called him. Why would a major executive at a random internet call it random internet personality? It's like what they keep doing is they keep saying like, I'm a random internet personality. I'm irrelevant. And all they do is talk about me every day and try to talk about how irrelevant I am and how I make no money. And it's like, fine. But it's like, look, I didn't say Barry Weiss called me. This is the free press. Okay. This is Barry Weiss's. This is an email from Barry Weiss's company here from the free press, trying to talk to me about 9/11 and Jews. And it's by Ashley Reinsberg. Very interesting last name there. But it's like, there you go. I just said the free press, and they make it into something it's not. Now, there was a clip that came out from this guy, another Jewish guy, named Eyal Yacobi. Let's talk about this one. Saying breaking, Elijah Schaffer accidentally admits that he is working on behalf of the El Salvadoran government and represents, quote, their interests. Ready for this? Why is he not required to register under FARA? So for the last 3 days, they tried to say I worked for Russia, and they tried to say I worked for Qatar. And now listen to this video. So he says, I said in this video that I work on behalf of their government and represent their interests. Listen to what I actually said.
His bag showed up. Mine didn't. I called American Airlines. Like, I don't know where your bags are.
Why are you going to El Salvador?
Because I worked at, I'm friendly with the government down there. I work in, let's just say I liaison from the interests of America are in El Salvador, and I help represent some of those interests. And so
all I said is I worked there. I'm friendly with the government. And I said, I represent American interests there. I didn't say I'd represent El Salvadoran interests. I said, not, even if I did, I didn't say that. But Jews lie. They just lie. The Zionists lie. So then of course, you get the good liars. Individuals. Where is this? Let me go down here.
Yeah, it's so, what's like ironic about that though is that they're saying that you need to register under FARA. That I believe it was like the first week of Pam Bondi being in office. Essentially, she changed the legislation around that to the point where really foreign interests don't really need to register under FARA anymore unless it's something that could otherwise reflect traditional espionage. So, it's really interesting that they're saying that when, in my opinion, a lot of these $7,000 per month influencers who are posting on behalf of a very different foreign government, they should be registered under FARA. But a lot of people don't know because it was actually buried under a lot of other like media coverage and other things that were going on at the time that Pam Bondi did make that change. And it's widely underreported. And, if you did work on behalf of a foreign government before, under those circumstances, usually where you would usually need to register under FARA, nowadays you actually do not. So just
but I'm also what's crazy is I said I work on behalf of American interests in El Salvador.
Oh, 100%.
Which is the opposite. I didn't say I work for the El Salvador government for their interests in America. I said I represent our interests. Like, I just don't want to explain to people, like, I actually work for private companies. I travel all over. And it's like, I'm trying to think of what to tell them I was down there doing. Because I'm like, they just edited it. Basically, they edited it in a way to extend the pause and then make it look like, that's how I was talking the entire show. Like, and like talking to him. They take out one clip, put it, if you fell for that, you stupid goy, you fell for Jewish propaganda. And it's like, well, why did you pause? Like, because I don't know what to say. What was I doing down there? I was down there for like a week. So I did a lot of things. I was down there for tourism. I was down there with some lobbyists. I was down there fundraising. I was down there doing ad deals. I was down there at a party. And even
if you were, and I know you weren't, but even if you were, like, can anybody explain to me how the El Salvadorian interests are in greater conflict with American interests than these other main governments that we're talking about?
They don't buy out. They don't buy out our like. They don't.
Our resources are going to them. Exactly. Yeah, they're not controlling major policy decisions. They aren't running blackmail operations on our biggest politicians out here. Okay, they're not draining resources from the American people. So it's a very different thing. It's a whole different kettle of fish.
Look at this. Like he goes, I swear, if someone said this about Israel instead of El Salvador, the Jew haters would lose their minds, including this Jew hater who admitted he was working in or possibly for a foreign government. I never said anything that I was working in or for a foreign government. I said I was working there, which is a place. This is what's so crazy to me is like, I'm not even gonna let them gaslight us into defending ourselves. Now they're saying like everything's suspicious. Like if CNN goes to Poland and interviews the people there about the border, isn't that the same as Israel buying out our politicians and pushing Israeli interests above Americans? It's like, no, that's just a media company interviewing people in another country. It's completely unrelated. I said, yeah, because the El Salvador government doesn't buy out our politicians, and I'm serving U.S. interests in their country, not bringing El Salvador interests to the U.S. It's really not that hard to understand. It's called patriotism, and you wouldn't get it because you serve Israel. Under your logic, anyone who does business with another country to bolster the U.S. economy is the same as a U.S. politician taking dirty money to serve Israeli interests above the USA and the actual government. They're not even remotely related. Are you that dumb? I guess so. This was the weirdest gaslight. Now, a lot of people were in on it, including like this person, what's his name? Misfit Patriot, who's rabid Zionist. Like, whoops. Now, here's the thing. Eyal Yacobi is Jewish and lied. So he just takes a clip, edits it. I didn't even say anything he said. This is like the same thing as that, like a pedophile clip where it's like, oh, so this guy says that Elijah's working with whatever that weird dysgenic guy is, and hitting on me. And it doesn't say that in the video. They just wrote that. Like they write that here and the video says something completely different. And they're like, oh, well, a Jew said it. Well, if a Jew says it, it's probably a lie at this point. And I'm not even anti-Semitic. I'm just like, I'm being honest here. Like, Jewish people are just lying right now. Like they're really, really lying about a lot of stuff. And Seth Dillon is like, watch him squirm and stutter. And it's like, it's not squirming and stuttering. This is like I voluntarily did this interview with my friend.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing weird about it. Do you know this clip is from a clip I put up on my page? So
Right.
Like, I uploaded this.
Yeah.
This is from my page. I put this up.
Exactly.
Squirm and stutter. Nobody got me. This is my page. And it's like they're like because they're like, oh, because they cannot believe. This is actually so what kind of I want to conclude this. They cannot believe that Americans genuinely care about America more than Israel, that you have to be getting paid by a foreign government. Because you know why? Because they're paid by foreign governments. It's an admission of guilt. And it's like, well, they're not really, but they're getting paid by people because they support the foreign government. They're getting this Zionist money. And I know because I'm offered that money all the time. Regularly, I am offered Zionist money. And I know that it's very, very real. It's very, very damaging. And it happens. Thousands of dollars sometimes a month I get offered, sometimes more than that. And I've talked about on these shows multiple times being offered money to lie. It's not just like Israel's like, here's 7K. What happens is they actually, use these NGOs, these influencer meeting groups, and then they offer you money to talk about Islam instead of Israel, or to talk about the IDF instead of how they're heroes, or to talk about October 7th and memorializing it instead of talking about what's happening in Gaza. And they offer you money to work on narratives. It's a propaganda war. The money is very much there. The major influencer organizations are run by rabid Zionists and or Jewish people. And it's like, you see this all. By the way, I have people coming up from Blaze TV, like breaking their NDAs. Like I got to go talk to Blaze about some of this, behavior, because, obviously, like I always tell people, it's like, I'm not going to break my NDA, but I obviously sit on a lot of information on a lot of people that would, greatly damage their careers, greatly damage the network, greatly damage a lot of people, very damning stuff. And I'm not Jewish, so I don't release it, right? But it's like, hey, I'm holding up my end of the deal. You kind of got to hold up yours. Like if your people are trying to disparage me publicly, especially when they're only giving their side of the story, maybe they should realize, I got a whole side of the story too, and it's not going to make you look good. So I need you to realize that, when I got these people from Blaze, got Blaze people attacking me right now. You got PragerU attacking me. You have Turning Point people blocking and trying to attack me. Not Colvette and Boyer. They're cool. They've actually kind of fixed that relationship. So I'm not even talking smack at all. Good. And I'm excited to go to AmFest, but you got that, you got Alexis, you got the Department of Homeland Security, you got the FBI, you have Eyal Yacobi, which by the way, he's an advisor to Trump. That's one of Trump's advisors putting that out. That's one of Trump's personal advisors. Yeah. You got Trump's internal team. You got JD Vance's team getting me fired from my other position because they didn't like what I was saying about Israel. So they were tired of apologizing to them. So they had to let me go because they were basically getting threatened. And it's like, you got Vance's team, Trump's team, the DHS, the FBI, Citibank canceling our cards, right? I mean, this is an actual assault on my sovereignty and my ability to exist and live peaceably in this country and to travel. They're even hitting me travel. Even when we're overseas, they're hitting us with the Quad S. It's like, this is intimidation, the doxing, the threatening. It's like, guys, all I did was retweet a picture and said nothing. And by the way, nothing in my post or the other post said a name. Nobody even mentioned Alexis Wilkins. Nobody mentioned her. I'm being honest. No one mentioned her. She was never mentioned. And if she can do all this to me, what do you think she's going to do to you? And that's what this is about. It's a precedent case to see what they can do to us. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I don't think they can actually foresee themselves winning though. So that's what's like really confusing to me. Is it like every legal expert I've spoken to has basically said a very similar thing. So to me, it just purely seems to be a case about optics. And it's really interesting that, you hear them kind of espouse all the time that this type of identity politics, engaging in this type of identity politics is really, really dangerous. But kind of like what you just said earlier, isn't that exactly what they're doing? Isn't that interesting that they always accuse you of what they themselves are doing? Usually we call that the iron law of woke projection, but to me, I guess if wokeism exists in any capacity on the right, it's coming from those people. So, it's really interesting. Like rules for thee and not for me. I mean, they're allowed to engage in it, but we can't call out things that are very like we can't just believe our own eyes and ears and then call things out as we see them. And if we do, oh, we're just using identity politics. We're just being hateful. We're just, doing this or that. They're so good at playing the victim card. So they're very good at making it appear that way. But again, Elijah, I don't see how this works out for her. Even when it comes to optics, like, yeah, you're going to have the Zionist people who are all in agreement and all in lockstep and all retweeting the posts. But what about everybody else? Like, they're losing people, and this isn't the way to get them back. Like these influencer campaigns, buying up media corporations, banning emojis, punishing dissent. Like, this isn't the way to do it. It's really like, and you'd think they would figure that out by now. And actually, you want to know a funny observation that I had on that note is, you see some of these posts that these influencers are getting paid like $7,000 for, and it's like, really? Like, this is embarrassing. Like, if I was your boss, I would be like, hey, you need to step up your game a little bit here. And what would actually be effective, rather than trying to create this perception or like change the narrative online, would be to actually genuinely start doing things that benefit the American people and espousing rhetoric that is actually American first. And you want to know somebody who has been doing that a little bit lately, who I was really surprised to see. But for this reason, like, because I was so surprised to see it, I'm almost certain it's a PSYOP, or she has caught wind of everything I just said, to the effect that like trying to control the narrative with these forced campaigns isn't working. Laura Loomer. Did you see that she came out and said that the U.S. should actually cut ties with Israel, that she agrees, that she doesn't want to be blamed?
That's good.
She's saying all of these things that I'm like, is she actually having a wake-up call right now? Is she having like a coming to Jesus moment where she's actually like, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense. I get this America First doctrine. This is good. Or do you think that she's playing like 2D chess? She's like 5D chess, whatever. She's a couple steps ahead. And she is saying this because she's realized that the influencer campaign that they've been utilizing so far isn't working. And so at this point now, they need to actually espouse rhetoric that is truly in alignment with the American First movement. Otherwise, they actually have no hope of regaining the court of public opinion from anybody who isn't already on their side, right?
Absolutely. I look at, and I want to say this, like you mentioned, but about her, like the come to Jesus or whatever, Joel Berry, who we were talking about earlier, who said there's, no enemies to the right. Apparently he has an eye infection too. I didn't know. If people want to know why I have my, it's like the eye doctor said it's beyond an eye infection. I said it's any oral antibiotics, but I got a sty, and I think it's just from stress, man. I just had to move, states, evacuate my family and stuff. It's been a really tough few weeks, and I've had every single person that I know come after me. The difference now is actually this has been worse attacks than when I got like straight up like attacked by the trifecta hose of the right wing, when they came after me. They're still coming after me today, by the way. And I'd I'd really love to just like nothing could really damage my reputation. Like, people have said I've done every single evil thing under the sun. It's like, you really can't hurt me. And I'm actually not really shaken by these people. Not saying not really, I'm just not shaken by them. But like the things that I have about their lives, oh boy, they still try to seem like good people. Yeah. You got a lot of, dude, you got a lot of things, right? You got people who are married, who who their spouses would like to know about the cheating and abortions and all this stuff that's happened, and the drug use and the orgies and the shit. There's been a lot of stuff, right, that a lot of people have been involved in, calls recorded and emails and everything, and I just sit on it. And one day I might get upset enough and I might crack, and it might get released, and probably half of them will get fired from their jobs, and or the companies will just terminate them because it's going to be such bad PR. And now I'm friends with the left-wing media, so you can play that game. I can go to left-wing media if I want to as well. It's not going to be good. But I always say, maybe you should be quiet because you might get to experience the fun that you guys try to put me through very, very soon.
Yeah.
You're looking at good, yeah.
Especially if people are like directly coming after you, but I truly believe, Elijah, that we won't need to do that. You don't need to do that. The truth is on your side. The truth is on our side. I really think that this is a pivotal time right now in human history, this precedent that they're trying to set. And, it's really making people choose where their values lie. And obviously, there's a lot of money in certain lobbyist groups, certain media corporations, certain sponsorships. But I was saying this to you when we were on the phone, like last night or yesterday or whatever. It's like, there's some people, they're going to be eating good off this money that they make, right? I'm a person, I would rather sleep well at night. I'd rather be sleeping well than eating well. I want to be able to have a clear conscience, right? I want to be able to be on the side of truth. That's what you're doing. That's who you are. And one thing that I really respect about you, my fiance and I, Danny, were talking about this, is like, you're really somebody, you wear your heart on your sleeve, like flaws and all. And nobody's perfect. As human beings, we are all flaws and sin wrapped in skin. And we do our best. We try to, purify ourselves and become as Christ-like as possible. But we're always on this journey. But somebody who's authentic, wears their heart on their sleeves, admits their shortcomings, that's always going to that's going to attempted to be weaponized and leveraged by the enemy. But then on the other side of that, you have these people who present this perfect public persona that they're just the quintessential Christian, conservative, all of these things, but they're degenerates behind the scenes. And I think for them, their karma is living out of alignment with truth. They're living out, like, surely these people actually can't sleep at night. I'm sure they need to take sleeping pills or medicate themselves, whatever it may be, to be able to put up with the fact that they are living so out of alignment from what they espouse and what they show on the surface to what they actually believe. And I have so much respect for somebody like yourself who, like, you'll 8 Mile yourself any day. You will admit your own shortcomings, right? Like 8 Mile, like at the end when Eminem says like all those bad things about himself to win the rap battle before the other guy can say it. Like, I'm very much like that too. I've almost learned there's certain things maybe I shouldn't share. I'm so willing to just be transparent with my past because that's not who I am. And all of those things made me who I am today. We're all constantly learning and growing. The real issue and the ones you need to be worried about are the ones who pretend that they're perfect and they've always been perfect, right? Because they're the ones who are living out of alignment with the truth. But I truly think that their own punishment and karma is needing to live and deal with that because I'm sure it feels like shit.
Yeah, it's not good. And like, look, like they don't even think through they don't even think through their positions. I don't know if you saw this, but Joel Berry was on Timcast, and he's basically, there's this all-out assault of people trying to stop Nick Fuentes from being popular. And it doesn't work like that, right? And they're really mad because they have all the money, all the power, and they're wondering why wearing a $59 jacket from Bass Pro Shop, why guys aren't falling for like, hey, I'm just another guy like you. You know, I drink malt whiskey. It's like, dude, Joel, you're a Shabbos goy. Okay? You're a slave. You're a Jewish slave. You worship a cult.
Yeah.
Okay? Zionist Christianity is a cult. It is so far away from the Holy Church. It is so far away. The great schism we can keep working on between the Orthodox and the Catholic Church. The great schism we can keep dividing. But whatever you're doing, you've literally been deceived by the synagogue of Satan. You are following a false god. You have usurped authority from Christ. You have taken away the atonement of the cross. You have spat upon the holiness of the body of Christ, and you have set yourself up as a God to worship this tribe because it provides safety in the mind. Because if you can believe these things are true, then you can listen to them on how to live, and you don't have to live by faith. And you also can get money because your organization will keep getting advertising dollars and investment from Daily Wire. You know, you wanted to work you wanted a media company more than you wanted to serve God. And so you've tried to fit God into your media company by saying, okay, God's going to come in this. Now you're aligning with James Lindsay here, who's an atheist. That's why James Lindsay will criticize my faith. It's like, you're an atheist. Like, it's always like, I don't believe in your God. I think he's fake, but let me criticize your faith and tell you why you're not really following your God. It's like, you don't even believe in him. Listen to this. Tim Pool got him. Watch.
Because it's coming from someone who's oppressed. And the same thing on the right. If we have no enemies to the right, what you end up seeing all the time is someone defending wickedness because it's coming from someone who is on the right, who's supposed to be your friend.
Will you condemn James Lindsay?
For what?
For no enemies to the right. Well, he's certainly at odds with your moral worldview, destructive to its ends, and aligning with him has caused you problems. Will you speak out? Will you say this guy is bad? We should not be working with him. We should be, first of all, he's not a Christian. He's a polyamorous liberal who has been putting out false arguments to make your argument fall apart.
Yeah.
And I think not you personally.
Yeah. No,
but I have seen this faction of individuals intentionally align with him because it grants them power and they want to use it.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. Well, James Lindsay has shot himself in the foot a little bit with this kind of over application of the woke right term.
Yeah, I think once he started calling Orthodox pro-Israel Jews woke right, jumped the shark.
Hold on, I guess I want to finish my train of thought with him, because he, at a core level, I do appreciate what he's doing, even though he shoots himself in the foot and he's really good at making enemies. He is a freedom first guy. He cares about preserving freedom, and so do I. When it comes to his faith, he's not an atheist anymore. He's at least agnostic, and I'm praying for his conversion. He's been reading the Bible a lot, and he's been. I won't say any more about him because I don't know, but this is one thing I'll say. The last time I was with James Lindsay, it was at a libertarian convention, a bunch of godless libertarians. No offense.
Not a libertarian.
At one point, he had done his presentation. Someone asked a question during the Q&A, like, how do we save this country? And he said, the only way I see for us to save this country is for you to get back into your Bible, find a church and go to church and pray earnestly for our country. And he wasn't pandering. This wasn't a crowd of evangelicals, so he wasn't pandering. He was talking to a bunch of, godless libertarians. And so my point is, I don't agree with Lindsay on everything, obviously, but I will unite with a guy who tells people that our hope is scripture, church, and prayer.
So does Nick.
Over a professed
So does
Christian
Nick, consistently.
Says, Hitler was cool,
hyperbole.
15-year-olds or, all the nasty stuff that Nick Fuentes has said.
She messed up because that was actually Megyn Kelly anyways.
Or a professed Christian who says
I reject this. James Lindsay is the other side of the coin for Nick Fuentes in this argument. You are overlooking the things he does that is destructive to you because he said things that benefits you. And there are many people who would say similarly of Nick, perhaps Tucker Carlson. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but while certainly Nick has said a bunch of abhorrent things, like you mentioned, saying, Hitler, Stalin, all these guys, there are a lot of people saying no enemies to the right. Well, at least he is a Christian, and at least he is espousing that message.
He's not a Christian,
and young men are following it. Neither is James Lindsay, but you would be willing to unite with a guy.
It's like there's some kind of friend-enemy distinction governing political coalitions. Look, so
how is Nick not a Christian? Oh my gosh.
Well, also, I want to quote that verse. So people always quote this verse that says, "Judge not, lest you be judged," and they always say, Christians aren't supposed to judge. But if you talk about theologically speaking, the judgment that the Bible talks about there is that you're not supposed to be judging people of whether or not you cannot judge whether they enter the kingdom of heaven or not, right? That is the key thing. Now, of course, you can judge people by their fruit and assume that they may not be submitted to God, but ultimately only God decides, who has blasphemed the Holy Spirit, which is the only sin that can separate you from God. So getting
100%.
serious on this, going down into our soteriological, discussion on the cross of Christ and what is defined as and what that means. Joel Berry has no business, making that claim, and it really opens you up to what the esoteric position they take of elitism, spiritual authority. They have usurped, like I said, the authority of God. So now they're saying, like Nick Fuentes, he's not a Christian. Now, a very fair statement would be like, from the way that he talks, and by the way, I want to clarify, this is not what I think, but would have been a fair statement with what I believe Joel believes, is Joel could have said, look, by the way he talks and by the things he's said, I've never met a Christian genuinely following God who acts or talks like that. That would have been fair. He could have also said, if he is a Christian, I would really consider thinking about the witness that you put off to the public, because if I had seen any of those clips of him, I would have assumed he was the opposite of a Christian or something like that, right? But it shows you how deceptive it is, and Tim calls him out on this. He's like, but James Lindsay, and he goes, he's not a Christian either. James Lindsay has tweeted publicly that he's going to try to get people to think he's a Christian. That shows you that a lot of people think, like, if you talk the talk, if you walk the walk, if you look like a Christian, because what is a Christian? It's if you look like a Zionist evangelical, that is what Christians are to these people. It means you don't smoke, you don't drink. James Lindsay is having sexual experiences with his daughter that he's tweeting about, talking about checking out women's buttocks with his daughter. You've seen that, right? We've talked about that. He says that he goes with his bisexual daughter and they have sexual thoughts about women's buttocks, and they like to lust after women together, and he enjoys it. And he bonds with her over sexual lust of women. And it's like, dude, I don't care if they're the same. Like, I'm not going to go with my young sons. Like I always said, like, maybe my young sons, like, bring home a girlfriend. She's cute, who cares if you're going to say, she's like 16. You're like, oh, that's a cute girl, whatever. But I'm not going to sit there with my son and be like, you see that Nil's ass?
Look at that ass. Like,
do you want to put your face in it and get an eye infection too? No, but it's like, but it's like, that's weird, right? So he's a polyamorous sex freak. And that's why he even tells me, he's like, you're a woman abuser and you're sexually weird. Buddy, you have experiences with your own family sexually, okay?
What has Nick said that is like so out of alignment with Christianity? Like, yes, he uses hyperbole. Yes, he's funny. He makes jokes.
Gen Z internet humor is considered coarse jesting to them. It's coarse jesting to them.
It's not even Gen Z internet humor. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm Australian. Maybe are Australians different than Americans in that sense? Like, we used to like intentionally say just the most wild things about everybody. We hate everyone equally. We like make fun of ourselves. Australians are very big fans of self-deprecating humor as well. That's why it's very difficult to offend me here in the United States. But I truly don't understand exactly what it is that Nick has said that is actually not Christian by comparison to some of the examples that you just gave that are actually really grotesque sexual examples that like cross the lines between, like, you shouldn't be having these discussions with your children, right? Let alone like members of your family in general. It's weird. But there's this, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like I would rather work with somebody, be friends with somebody, have somebody in my circle who wears their heart on their sleeve. Maybe they're a cussing Christian, all right? Maybe they swear a little bit. Maybe they have some like edgy humor or something like that, but their heart is pure. They actually want the best for people. They truly do not hold hate in their heart. They actually want to pray for their enemies, right? These are all, like, you guys might not believe me, and if you don't, maybe you haven't watched Nick in long form, but these are all things that he espouses frequently on his shows. And if you don't know that, maybe you should watch the full-length podcast and not the clips. The clips are intentionally chosen to be like the most hyperbolic and humorous parts, right? Because they want to rage bait. It's funny to the people who like the comedy, and it infuriates the people who are easily offended. But I really don't understand what he said that is so unchristian by comparison to these other people who are legalistic in their Christianity and the way everything looks on the surface. But what's your heart posture? What's your actual heart posture underneath, like all of that stuff? I've actually, I've seen a very similar thing this last week. Did you see the stuff with Blair White?
Yeah, we can talk. Let me see if I can bring that up for a second, real fast.
I would love to talk about it because a lot of people may not know this. Blair White was actually. I'm really happy that I'm smart. Elijah Schaffer.
Sorry, someone posted that. I don't know.
Okay. Blair White actually was one of the first YouTubers that I ever watched. And I actually didn't know that Blair White was a trans person until 3 videos in. The first video that I watched was her exposing, and sorry, I say her. Blair looks like a girl, okay? So that's what my brain automatically assumes. I'm not woke. It's
like a porn star, like an OnlyFans.
I'm using language in a useful way. Like if you go to a restaurant and Blair White was there, you wouldn't say to the waiter, "Hey, I'm looking for the guy in the red dress," right? You would say, "I'm looking for the what."
Well, once the makeup's on, once the makeup's on, he looks like a girl, but without the makeup on.
That's really old. I believe Blair's had like a lot of surgery and stuff. Anyway,
I know Blair by the way. Blair hates me now because he teamed up with the chicks for the drama against me. I still have nothing against Blair.
Stuff. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, like he did with Sydney Watson, but like also, what do you expect a gay guy to do? Like there's drama aboard, and he can be a bitch. He'll take it. But I have an interesting take on this myself as well. So keep going, but I'm just putting up pictures as you go.
You know, I liked Blair's quote. So the first video I saw was the video exposing the Balenciaga child abuse scandal. I'm not sure if you saw that. It was all these disgusting pictures with imagery, child sexual abuse material, like books referenced in the background of the shoot, all this disturbing stuff. She did an expose on that. There was one other video as well. And then the third video that I was watching, it was a video on the trans topic. And like halfway through, I still didn't know that Blair was trans. And then Blair goes, "As a trans person," literally my jaw hit the floor. At that point, I had a lot of hate in my heart towards people in the trans community because of the caricature of how they had been portrayed. 25% of young people are now in this LGBT umbrella, most of them non-binary and bisexual, which, by the way, takes zero commitment. You don't need to commit to anything. It's all based on your feelings. You're just bored and you need a personality, right? But I hated the way that they were, getting into the school communities, impacting children, the way they were trying to really shape public opinion and create this cancellation campaign for anybody who wasn't in approval of their messaging. But seeing Blair espouse so much logic, saying these things, it made me able to separate a person from an ideology or from an affliction, so to speak, a psychological affliction. And this is something that Blair is very blatant about, being transsexual, suffering from gender dysphoria, which was removed from DSM-5. They wanted to depathologize it so people could self-ID. But the 1% of people, because it's only 1% of people that are actually trans, right? Not this 25% of Gen Z that you hear about. It's 1% overall population. It is a mental disorder. And Blair claims as much. There's a lot of people out there in the world who have mental disorders. There are also people out there who have physical afflictions that they suffer with. The pastors at my church back in Australia, which I didn't even truly have like a personal relationship with Christ back then. I'd say it was a more like legalistic, surface level relationship. But the pastors of that church, before I really got into my Catholicism, when I came to the States here, they were like 50 pounds overweight. Gluttony is a sin. Should we have stopped the church service because they are fat? Or, everybody struggles with their own sin. They struggle with something. And when I first started watching Blair's videos, you may have your own gripes due to like personal things, but the stuff that Blair was espousing, Blair seemed like such a warrior for the truth that when I started consuming Blair's content and really enjoying it, I started praying for Blair, praying that Blair would come to know Christ, because Blair was such a warrior for truth that if I figured like I want Blair to know the ultimate truth, not necessarily to make Blair detransition. If that's what Blair is convicted of, great. But if you're already a warrior for truth, if you're seeking that, and then you find the real truth in Jesus Christ, like it's game over. Like at that point, like you've actually truly tapped in at that point. And I was praying for Blair to be able to achieve that for like the last 2 years, literally, since I first started watching Blair's content. Blair's now a Christian. And by the way, I do this for other people. Anyone who I think is a warrior for the truth, who isn't a Christian, who's atheist or agnostic, I pray for them. I pray that they come to know Christ. And Blair has. Now, Blair had a real encounter with Jesus Christ. At least that's what Blair has said, right? But then you just see all of these posts saying like Blair is not a real Christian until Blair detransitions and this and that. Listen, I get it. You recognize people by their fruits, but what matters is actually having an encounter with Jesus Christ. And Blair going on their platform and publicly declaring the name of Jesus Christ is a lot more than a lot of other people out there are doing. And Blair will be convicted on certain things as Blair goes through their journey, I am sure. But one thing I really feel like we should not do, that I disavow, is saying that people are not real Christians until they do X or Y or Z. I completely disavow that. So that's my thoughts.
Well, yeah. And I'd probably make a video for Slightly Offensive. If people want to know, by the way, I have relaunched the channel. People might not know that, but I did. I'm starting to make content on there again, and I'm pretty happy about it because it's been a sort of like a thing for me that I've always really appreciated. And I decided to turn it into something that I could be proud of. And I'm going to work on as well. If you go here to this, you can see I have to rechange some of the stuff up top. But I have new videos out, right? So I have like DHS exposed after accusing us of lying. I got doxxed, the secret organization just hell-bent on destroying AIPAC, how Ben Shapiro accidentally made the AF movement. I got sued for $5 million, and kind of going in this direction. I might need to actually move some of my please let me know, by the way. Email me, elijah@rifttv.com, if you know if I need to delete my old videos. I just reapplied to earn because I'm now making content that is following YouTube guidelines. And I hope that we can get that position, because the watch time I think is only predicated on the actual published videos, but I do know that sometimes private videos can cause that. But with the idea, I want to say this: I'll make a full video on it probably tomorrow or Sunday about Christianity. And I'm thinking about starting to make Sunday videos for Slightly Offensive about faith, just to drop on Sundays.
I would love that. Bring me on, please. Yeah. I would love to join you for that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, like spiritual Sundays, like Slightly Offensive Sundays, SOS. But I
like that.
I want to say this, obviously with like, you'll never please the world. And I think with Orthodox Christianity, what I've learned is that there is salvation through suffering. And a lot of this evangelical Christianity that's developed has become about experience. There's a lot of this hyper focus on your relationship with God and you and how you do it. And they sort of turn Christianity into a Subway sandwich of like, you get to decide if you want mayonnaise or chipotle sauce and how much you want on there. And the problem with this is that it's sort of taken away the responsibility that Christians have to the church, to the body of Christ, to be part of the body, right? We're so hyper focused on our one unit that we're like, hey, we're supposed to be functioning together. And church swapped out the altar for the stage, right? And they swapped out the focus on the crucifix and Christ and the sacraments to be holy into worship and feelings. And there's nothing wrong with good worship music. I think good worship music is great. I think some of it's very emotional, and there's nothing wrong with emotions. And I actually don't mind. I know a lot of Orthodox don't believe in tongues. I do pray in tongues. I do have some charismatic things in me, but I'm not an ecumenist. Like, I'm not trying to bring the charismatic movement into the Orthodox Church. I'm not trying to proselytize my Protestant past into the church. I'm trying to accept the church for its form and what God has preserved it as. And that has given me a perspective to where, I do think a lot of Orthodox kind of are devoid of the Spirit. But it's necessary because we become so focused on the Holy Spirit that we forget to focus on Christ, which is obedience, which is sacrifice, which is the idea of picking up your cross every day. And it's a crazy thing, because I know that people that hate me, and they'll never think that I can be saved. And when you see somebody like Blair, you think that he can never be saved, right? Because it's like, how do you undo a boob job? How do you undo? I think he has a male appendage. I think it's male appendage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Blair never got the bottom surgery, and was actually a big proponent of letting people know all of the dangers that come with that. And that
I don't,
but
I understand the confusion. Like it's like, you know, if you were watching adult graphic material and you're watching Blair penetrate a woman, it's like, it's kind of weird because it's technically still straight. Obviously, the adult content is what's the sin, but it's like, you know, people can get very confused because you start seeing a woman's body and you like the woman's body, and then the woman's body has a penis, and maybe you like, you know, straight sex because you're straight, and you know, and then you start seeing those images together. You could get confused, and a lot of people actually go towards the transgender route because of specifically because of pornography. It's a very when men climax to certain material, when they get in that, they get heated up as an animal, they end up clicking and clicking and clicking, looking at more severe and more severe stuff. And they end up, when you climax, I'm trying to be like, you know, appropriate here, but when you climax to material, you can rewire your brain into like fetishes and things that you like. And I think that, you know, all of a sudden things that gross you out, that's why there's the phrase, right? When you come to your senses.
Mhm.
You sort of release this life force, and you realize, what have I looked at? What have I done? And I think that
post-nut clarity, as
post-nut
the
clarity.
boys call it.
Yeah. You can kind of like reject that. But at the
Mhm.
same time, like, as somebody who's been very carnal and very fleshly, you know, I cannot pick up the alcohol bottle. But I'm like, if you've changed your body like that, that's going to be a huge journey. And also, I would like to talk to a priest, because I don't know, like, if you can I don't know, maybe Blair's past the point of being able to medically detransition, you know, maybe Blair's stuck looking like that. I don't know. Maybe he should take the implants out. What if it's going to kill him? I don't really know. I'm not a priest. I'm not going to give my advice to that. But I do know that, like, I would tell people, give Robert, his name's Robert, by the way, we can call him Robert. Give Robert, like, one of the first things Robert could do is go by Robert, you know, take back on his male name and say, you know what, my name is actually Robert, and I am a man, and I don't need to go by a female name because I'm not a female. But all those hormones and everything, I don't know.
So you're saying that Blair then is not a Christian unless Blair
No.
does that, in the same way that the
No.
pastors that were 50 pounds overweight from my church, they should
No.
not preach anymore until they drop the weight.
Kind
Like,
of, yeah. I do think they should. I do think
I
that
honestly,
they are
I don't want to learn
hypocritical.
from a fat pastor, so I would honestly
That's what
kind
I'm
of agree
saying.
with that.
I do think they should.
But
be,
we're
they should be
we're
changing.
all on this constant journey of purification, and I think what matters most is having a genuine, real, authentic relationship with Jesus Christ, because that is the only way for him to speak to you and to convict you. And then whatever happens when you are convicted, that is a private encounter between you and your savior. That is between you. And I don't feel like you should let anybody else determine
Are you
whether or not
Catholic?
I am Catholic. Yes,
You sound
I
like
am.
a Protestant. That's a Protestant theological perspective.
There's also maybe I don't fit perfectly into a box. Like you said, you still speak in tongues and you do these things that are kind of outside of the Orthodox doctrine. Like, and true, it's the same way in things when it comes to conservatism. Like, there are some things where I'm kind of more on the outlier when it comes to certain things, but I'm more about the authentic, like, experience of Jesus Christ. And my authentic experience with Jesus Christ is I'm closer to God, and I feel more connected to worship and to the message when I'm doing it in a Catholic church versus a home church or a Protestant church. So I'm not just Catholic because I was baptized Catholic at birth. It's consistent with what I'm saying, that it's about the real experience with your creator and with his son, Jesus Christ. And I feel the most connected to Christ in a church.
But I think what I'm saying is this is, I'm saying you watch, because God says that you should know people by their fruit. So I'm not putting any pressure on Robert to do anything, because, but I think the church should put pressure, and I think that a priest should. And I think that there is a point where, you know, there is a genuine move of God on your heart. But I do think that, like, if you watch someone like Blair and the rest of their life, they don't change anything, then you cannot do what Joel did and say, okay, well, he's not a Christian. Then what you can say is, like, man, maybe I won't listen to this person for spiritual advice or guidance because they don't seem to really understand or grasp or be applying this. Just like you won't want to listen to a fat pastor, you don't want to listen to a doctor who's smoking cigarettes talk to you about the dangers of smoking. So, like, yeah, you're correct, but I'm saying, like, you know, it would be really neat. Like, if you watch Robert and Robert stops wearing women's clothes and changes his name to Robert, then, like, people, my point was actually the opposite of what you're saying. He may never become like a masculine male that's going to be, you know, look like Joel Berry, the ultimate masculine prototype. But but what you can say is like, look, if Blair White has a genuine confession of faith, pairs up with the authentic Church of Christ, comes together as a real conversion, I believe that you will see changes. You will see decisions being made, and that somebody who has made a real change will show you that they're making adjustments, but never be perfect. And so I'm not going to cast then my changes on them, because what they deal with, like I said, like perhaps it would kill them. And that's up to a priest. I don't know. Should a person make changes that'll kill them? I don't know. I'm not a priest. I don't assume that's what God means, is like, you know, if Blair stops taking hormones, he'll die or something. I don't know. But then, like, I think then there's an atonement where it's like, I also take my bad decisions. I can't undo the brain damage from drug use. I can't undo the promiscuity that I've been engaged in due to my partying and alcohol use. I can't undo, you know, the firings and the things that I've been involved in because I've just been worldly and carnal and handling things on my own. I can't like unfire myself. But what I can do is tell people like, hey, I'm not proud of these things. I know they're wrong. And now looking back at it, I don't want my children to make the same mistakes that I did. I don't want you to go down that route. So I can, like, I think Blair could become an advocate against transgenderism. And that could be someone who could be used like I'm not used, could be like, hey, warning people, this is dangerous because down the road you can find God. And maybe this entire time what Blair was missing was not a boob job, but was missing
Jesus,
the comfort of God, because that's what I was missing. Like I would party and drink because, like, you'll see me, I'm still getting mad now. I'm still frustrated at people and things, but at the same time, like, that doesn't mean I'm not a sinner now. It doesn't mean I can't still pick up the bottle tonight and get drunk, or that if I go and do that, it means that I didn't have a real conversion. Like, because I'm a sinner, I'm going to remain flawed, you know, until I'm perfected and resurrected. Though now God has given me mercy and grace. He sees me as perfect, but I'm not walking around preaching this, you know, like I mentioned, it's like, I'm just saved now. I'm good. No, I'm still carnal and flawed, and I need a daily saving. I am not afraid of the government. I'm afraid of myself, right? I always say I'm afraid of myself because my heart is so wicked, and I so easily justify. Like I was like in a house the other night, I'm moving, and like I was by myself. I was really mad. I was having a fight with someone in my family, and you know, my staff was pissing me off and stuff. And I open up the fridge, and I'm in this person's house, and there's like just like cold vodka sitting there, and that's like my poison. Like I'm not one of those alcohol drinkers that like smells alcohol. And I was like, and if you are that's you know, it's not a judgment, but just saying, like, I don't have like alcoholism in terms of like, you know, what I do though is when I get really angry and stressed, I'll cope by getting fucked up. And so I'm like mad, and I see the vodka, and I'm like, I get those thoughts, right? Like I'm like, no one's gonna know. You can do whatever you want. You can go like it. And I find out that your faith isn't by what you say you are. The strength of your faith isn't by who you tell people you are or the good moments. It's the things that you do in secret that nobody knows about that are the real test of who you are. The things that you do that nobody knows about in secret is a test of who you really are. And it's those moments where it's like I got to remind myself that that's why I'm scared of myself. I'm like, my life is going so, you know, well, despite it being so problematic. My wife and kids about to be reunited with them after they're in hiding right now. I'm about to see my children on Tuesday. I'm so excited. Why would I go mess this up now? Why would I go? God has told me, I don't know if it's for the rest of my life. It might be, but like, I can't get close to him while being intoxicated. So I've had to take a break from these things, but it's like, you know, I pity people like Blair or Robert, because, you know, I wouldn't know where he should begin. Like that's a really tough.
I mean,
journey.
well,
I don't know.
I mean, but it's not for you to figure out or to pity. Blair has it's up to Blair to figure that out with Blair's creator, and Blair's already being convicted on things. Like I regularly watch Blair's content. Most recently, Blair was trying to not swear in a video, and it was a completely unrelated topic to Christianity. And then stopped and said, God has recently convicted me on 2 things. 1, to stop swearing. And number 2, to let trans and gay people know that they can also know Jesus. That was a quick sidebar that Blair said, and then went back to the topic of the video. So people are going to be convicted on different things. And that's going to be individual to you and your relationship with your creator. But to your point, I completely agree. It's what matters when it's just you and God. And you take yourself everywhere you go, even if nobody else sees, like you're constantly creating a future blueprint of your own subconscious reactions whenever you find yourself in a trying situation, right? So each of those situations, like when you choose to do the difficult thing, to choose hard work over bitching, to choose strength over giving in and being weak, if eventually you continue to do that, you're literally shaping yourself. You're carving out your future subconscious reactions, because so often we wrestle with like flesh and blood and all of these things, because even though we consciously want to do something, our subconscious programming is like in direct contradiction to that. But every time, and hopefully drawing on God's strength, you do the hard thing, the difficult thing, eventually you're slowly reprogramming yourself and reconditioning yourself to be able to do better. It's so hard. And that's why we need Jesus. Hard. That's why we need Jesus. That's why we need grace to be able to do it initially at first. It's impossible.
You do need grace. You need I by no means have my life figured out. Our crew is all over the place. Hennessy's out in Australia doing some fundraising right now. And, we're trying to grow. I have to get out. Like, I have more work than I know how to do. I had to move states, break a lease, move my family into a safe place, find a new house, shut down my studio. I'm moving my studio. I've had to change my business. Everybody's lives around me have been uprooted because of this issue. Everybody's been complicated. Everybody's had problems because of this. But you know what? I count it all as joy, and I find it to be effective. I want to read a couple super chats here from people. Colomine Canary 23. Let's do have sound effects here, kind of a little bit. Said, hi, Elijah, still praying for you, brother. I have heard the Ortho Fathers talk about spiritual warfare kicking up when you start seeking God. Just know he has your protection in full. God bless you. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. We also have $20. I don't have my normal sound effects here, guys. Sorry. God bless you, Elijah. I'm in a hotel. I'm just on the road. God bless you, Elijah. Longtime listener and follower. I pray you this ridiculous lawsuit, and I pray or win for the peace of sweet Kez. Thank you. Your babies and yourself. That's from Scarlet Letter Rose 1231. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys are been fantastic. A couple from YouTube here. We have $20. God, sound effects. I know, right? Like, it's like, what are these sound effects? How about this one? Billy Hayes says, thoughts on Roseanne saying America will fall? Why is Roseanne Talmud Tatum so defensive? Yeah, they said America will fall if we let Israel fall. It's just not true, guys. Thoughts on that? What do you think, Amy? Thoughts on that?
Do you think she was joking? No.
I mean,
I know that she's like a little bit of a Zionist, but she's
a
also
little bit.
I mean, but she's also known to rage bait and to like say things that she knows will piss people off. No, she actually thinks that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sorry, Roseanne, I loved your show, but you gotta go. Get out.
I start to realize it's always the Zionists, it's always the Jews, and like the problem is like it's gotten nuts. That being said, we still have a couple more super chats here. I'll read them in a second, but down here we'll actually get kind of getting some new things down. We also got a $10 from Gen X Groiper. Says, Elijah, stay the course, buddy. We got your back. And most important of all, our Lord and Savior has got you, and we will win. Mm-hmm. These demons lose. Amy, been enjoying your contributions, and thank you for supporting Elijah. Yes. Very kind of her. Also, no way. Is this real? Is this real? Do we have our boy back in the chat? Oh my gosh.
What is
it? We can bring this up here. Let's see if we can. Do we have can we play this? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Homer J. Fuentes back in the chat here with a $100. This is inappropriate for a married man to be on screen with a girl with music like this. We got to stop this. Put it on pause. Okay.
There you go. Homer J. Fuentes in the chat says, God is great. My 2-year-old son is asleep in his own bed. Let's go. My one day old. Dude, did you have your kid? Is asleep in my arms. Thank you, God. E, we need to celebrate over a cigar soon. Yes, I'm not going to say where I'm going to be, but I'll be by you, Homer, probably next week. Let's have some cigars. Let's give one to your one-day-old son. It's never too early to start smoking. Smoking is good for the lungs. They say babies just need milk, a little titty, and a cigar. And unironically, that's all I need too. Just a little titty and a big cigar. Thank you very much. All right. That was our super chats for there. Anyways, Amy, it's been so good having you on the show today. It's been a ton of fun. I really appreciate you. I want to play one last clip here. I can't believe these people are real. One of these clips is from Officer Tatum. You said, like, are these like people real? Unfortunately, they are real. Did you ever see this clip here? I'd like to end the stream by saying, this has gotten absolutely nuts here with this lawsuit. Listen to this, though.
Marissa, this is the biggest injustice that I've seen, more so than Trump, more so than BLM, more so than the attack on law enforcement. The lies and betrayal and the propaganda that's causing people to hate a group of people for no reason. And I'm seeing how much hate that Jewish people are getting, more than cops, more than Trump got. I can't stand it. I can't sit back and watch it happen. God didn't give me a platform to be a coward. And so when I see crap happening, I got to say something. Just like in Charlie Kirk's death and all the conspiracies, I got to say something because I didn't know how crazy people are. So in my mind, I'm not thinking I'm going to get backlash. I'm just going to tell the truth and people are going to see it. They'll see me post a video and then say I'm getting paid money and I'm shielding for the Jews or whatever the case may be. Even the interview with Netanyahu, you're not going to bully me because I interviewed the guy in good faith. And my wife began to see what I was saying. Like, because my wife, she wasn't convinced at the stuff that I seen, right? I was like, I'm seeing all this stuff. It's all propaganda. My wife was like, oh, but what about this? But what about this? But what about Netanyahu? And after I interviewed him and she saw all that hatred and all that weird stuff people were doing, my wife began to see it.
First of all, his wife follows all the anti-Semitic content. It's unfortunate, but she does. But also, I was going to say, so you interview Netanyahu, the actual prime minister of a country that occupies our nation, and you don't know how you got backlash, but I went for 3 days to go film some videos in El Salvador, an ally of the United States, to push our interests there. And then all your buddies like had a meltdown and basically first of all, it wouldn't even matter if I worked with the El Salvador government. Even if I worked for them in El Salvador, that's not illegal. And that's not even weird. If you want to go down to El Salvador and take a job with an El Salvadoran company to help El Salvador, like, no one's mad that people would move to Israel. We're actually telling you to move to Israel. We're saying, don't take their money here. Go move there and go help them if you care about them so much. Don't bring their interests here. But that was the biggest gaslighting I've seen. Like, it's never going to go anywhere. They'll do it for a day. They'll come after me. They'll come after you. And they come up with something new,
Yeah.
Go out, ladies and gentlemen.
They need to get a little more creative. I'm getting a bit bored.
We're just going to go driving around town. My car's getting delivered here in a couple days. I'm really excited to go hit the open roads wherever I'm at. And it's going to be a good life. But I want to say as we sign out here, it's crazy. Like, they just hated for no damn reason. They didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing. I don't even know. Amy, if people find you, how can they follow you?
Yes, guys. So tomorrow, tune in. I'm going to be dropping a video breaking down this lawsuit, all of my thoughts on everything surrounding it, how we got to this point in the MAGA movement with MAGA versus America First, which will, in my opinion, go on to being the defining principle of this movement. So you guys can subscribe, set notifications, and you will see that video up tomorrow. Once Elijah Q sees it. Can't wait for him to do that. Let's go. It's going to be awesome. Yes. So check it out. Subscribe. You guys are going to see me a lot more around the platform. We are going to be live on here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm probably going to be doing some stuff with Will, who is another creator here at Rift. Go check him out if you do not already follow him. And we'll probably do something together as well, maybe some reaction content. But we're bringing my channel back going to be bigger and better than ever. Unfiltered, uncensored. I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Yes. Thank you, Amy. And for those of you guys watching, I don't want to know in the chat right now. Don't forget to subscribe right there to Locals. You can subscribe either to my channel here, Rift TV, which you can get at the Rift TV official. We are live there right now. You can also go and subscribe to the Rumble channel, Rift TV. You can hit that red join button right here. You can see that right there. My mouse is going. And you can join Locals. For the next week or two, I won't be doing exclusive Locals content. I'll probably be putting some more content up, but I just won't be because I'm moving. I'm around. It's why it's been insane, dude. I've essentially just been having problems with the government and people, and it's been just constant attacks, and I've had to move. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to destroy my business. They're trying to ruin our lives, and it's not a joke. So I really appreciate you guys who have been around. It's been fantastic, but also too, we will be doing some content next week. The time of the show is changing, just so you know. It is changing to 3 p.m. Eastern time. So I want to know ones in the chat this. Would you rather have this show be 3 days a week for 90 minutes to 2 hours? Would you rather me just go live every day for an hour from 3 to 4 p.m.? Just hit the daily news, hit the topics, discuss. Because eventually we might develop the show to something more. Would you rather have a daily show Monday through Friday where I just kind of talk about everything that's going on, the news, and give the perspective and weigh in on all of it? Because there's a lot of it going on, and I can do it very easily by myself since I'm going to be kind of shifting out of the big studio for a few months because of this legal stuff into a studio in my house. There's no financial issues, anything like that. I just can't be there because I'm getting harassed, and they're trying to dox my address of my studio in the legal documents. So they're trying to do things to intimidate me. But I am just getting ahead of it. We've been ahead of it from day one. So one's in the chat. If you would prefer to have a daily, just 1 hour, me just coming in Monday through Friday, 3 to 4, talk about everything that's going on that day. What's the perspective from the America only perspective, the AOS? Tell me if that's what you're into, with a few videos on Slightly Offensive, or if you just prefer the more longer shows, 3 days a week. That's a number 2. Let me know in the chat if you prefer that, less days a week. I know you guys like 7 p.m., but I can't do it, guys. I got to start putting my kids to bed. I have to form a better relationship with my children. And you can rewatch the show later. I also could just drop it at 7. It doesn't have to be live. I guess it's 3. True. Would you I could just drop the show at 7 o'clock every night. That's totally true too. And play it as a video. I feel
if you're going to do a daily show, people want to super chat and stuff, though. They want to be in with it. So that's that's the one downside of that. But hey, daily shows are great. Put me on anytime. I'm down for it. We're about to really ramp up this content schedule here at Rift TV. It's about to be awesome. I cannot wait. And to Elijah's point, I can confirm everything that he said is true because I've been working out of the studio. And we were literally getting knocks on the door. What time did I text you, Elijah? It was
midnight.
It was midnight, 2 nights ago. Literally, there were people knocking on the door. I'm texting Elijah, I'm not going to answer that. I'm terrified. But yeah, regardless of the attacks, we're going to keep bringing content to you guys. It's just going to get better from here. We're very excited. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. The rest of you guys watching, have a great rest of the week. As always, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.